Welcome to the Wholesome Healing Collective.
Join us on our podcast for a journey into the hearts of healers from all walks of life, diving deep as we explore meaningful conversations that have the power to inspire, empower, and share life-changing wisdom.
Through this community, we hope to create a welcoming environment where our listeners leave feeling nurtured and uplifted. We are so delighted you are here. My name is Alyssa.
And I'm Renee. Grab a drink, get cozy, and let's dive in.
Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Wholesome Healing Collective podcast. We are so honored to have our second guest here today, Tarah Peek. And Tarah is known on social platforms as Mandala Mama. She is a woman full of healing and life-transforming modalities. These include offerings like breathwork, sound therapy, yoga, qigong, meditation, biofield tuning, energy medicine, emotional release, and herbalism as a way to reconnect people with their body, mind, and soul. Tarah, that is such an incredible list of modalities. I absolutely love that. Sounds like you have been in this industry a really long time, adding each of those modalities.
I really couldn't narrow it down. Just every other week, there tends to be more and more layers that I want to explore. So I just keep diving.
I love that. To focus on conscious soul alignment living. Do you want to explain more what that means to our community?
Yeah. So I have found in my experiences that really through my yoga practice, there was this other layer that was opening up. And every time I found myself disconnected from this energetic connection that we have from something greater than us, whatever that may be and however we define it. When we lose that connection, we lose the purpose, we lose our drive, we lose that ability to be present, and we're seeking and moving and trying to step into some other space than where we are currently in our present moments. And then we have to bring that connection all the way down into our connection to earth, because we are in form, we are a material. So as I started to dive deeper in my own healing, it was this electrical energy, this electromagnetic part of us that connects us to soul and connects us to earth and allows that to flow within. As I felt that within myself, tangibly felt that, I realized this is when I felt the most healthy. This is when I felt the most vibrant. And this is when my vitality was able to be shared to other people in my journey. So I call myself a soul alignment mentor because when I was going through my studies of the Akashic records, which is this beautiful cosmic records of everything that ever was and ever could be that we all have energetic access to, it was aligning me back to my soul's journey, or the soul's journey, the truest part of self. And in that space, when we are in that alignment, we get to come at life from our unique energetic signature. And I love to reconnect that for people and find how that feels and embody that and utilize that in everyone who I work with and every class and event that I hold.
Wow. I love that. That is so beautiful. And I totally forgot to ask you what our signature question is. What is your favorite self-care activity or practice?
So it's really hard to narrow down one because every single day I have to do these every day, and I have to wake up and I sun gaze and I ground, and water is so sacred to me, and breath. So I have so many other things that I do, but I don't go a day without those four things consciously. So I'm consciously giving ceremony and ritual to the water that I drink to ignite my own inner waters. I'm constantly looking at the sun and allowing those lights to come in and to kind of expand and grow within my inner light. And I'm constantly grounding bare feet on the earth, even in winter, even if it's just for a moment or two, just to make sure that I'm constantly grounding to earth. And that's where that energetic current can flow through me. And I can feel if there's distortion there. And then I use breath to activate all of that, because without breath and water, there is none of that conduit. We have to have breath and water. So those are the 4 things I do all the time. And I've found that the more I feel that true connection of earth, and the more I feel that connection of source, which really, when we're sun gazing, we're kind of just taking in a lot of that light. However we view it, that is our source of energy. And then bringing that in with water and breath, this is this beautiful dance and this integration of kind of the basics.
Mm. Yeah, connecting with all 4 elements. That's so cool.
I feel like that's when I feel most connected and alive, when I'm in nature and able to connect with more than one of the elements, when I have water, and I have, especially if I can listen to water. I love being either by the ocean or listening to the river. Yeah, special.
Yeah, and water, right? It's this element of transformation and purification. So it's constantly renewing us to more and more phases of what we truly are, and removing what we're not. And that is different for every single one of us. But there's a part of us that we've kind of taken on through conditioning, and water helps to kind of flush all of that stuff out, so we can really feel what's our truth. What's our self? How does our energy move through us? How do we, as unique beings here on earth, what are we broadcasting out into the world as our gifts that comes from us? And then also at the same time, what is it that we are being influenced with and taking in? And how do we know what's best? Is that inner authority, which I love that, like water kind of helps stabilize that in all of us.
Yeah. I'm curious how maybe your practices look when you're, and perhaps this is more natural, but for those who maybe aren't used to tuning into their own energy and identifying what energy is maybe been taken on and isn't theirs versus the energy that is theirs and unique to them. How do you start that process of differentiating and feeling into what is your essence?
Such a good question. Practice is number 1. This takes a daily practice of desiring and holding the intention to even want to do that. So once we have that established, then it comes to, this is where I utilize what I have absolutely loved in the last 6 years of my life, is the human design system. So the human design system is giving us the permission to realize that we are designed very uniquely, and we are so unique, like a snowflake, like a piece of sand on the earth. No two are alike. We have to be able to know what is actually our authority. And I say authority because we all have this inner guidance system. Now, for me, it is very much in my body. I am a very embodied individual. And the more I drift into my head, which is also, I'm very defined there, I have to reconnect to my body for guidance. So the best practice for me is to tune into my body, to have ways for my body to move, which is why I bring energy from above and below. Now, for some, they're going to have different messages within their body. So if we're constantly trying to think about this, it's going to distort us, because this has to be something that's felt. And this has to be something that is truly taken on within the form of the body. And what I love to do is bring ourselves. And so for most people, now this is not everyone, so I'm just going to say that it is going to help for anyone who's listening. Go find out your human design. And if anything, just get your energy type. What type of energy, how does your energy move within you? And get your strategy and authority. this is going to be a very, very simple way to play with your individual self. But let's just say, for example, me. I have authority of my sacral. This is a spot below my belly button. And this is kind of like the spot when we say, oh, that gut instinct. Well, for me, it truly has been my whole life, this gut instinct. I get stomach aches when I have any difficulty that I'm having trouble digesting life. So for me to feel any form of dis-ease comes to me usually in my stomach first. And this is because I digest information from my energy field so sensitively. Now, not everyone's going to do this, but when we know exactly our authority and how it speaks to us, I have to go to my body and it tells me what's going on. Now, for someone who has a really hard time embodying their form because maybe of trauma or something's occurred to them that they've really dissociated from their form, this is where I love breathwork, because this is going to bring us back to that interconnectedness. But I do say, if you are in your thoughts and your thoughts have anything to do with fear, shame, guilt, or judgment, this is a key that you're out of alignment and you're functioning from conditioning that is not your truest self. So even if we don't have that embodied practice yet to listen to our body, we do have, oh my gosh, am I in fear? Am I in shame? Am I in guilt? Am I in judgment? These are going to be a key sign that you're out of alignment.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I love that. I love what you said about digesting life, because I'm a sacral authority as well. And prior to, and I've only recently started barely scratching the surface on the human design, but it brought a lot of things into clarity for me when I discovered that, because I'm the same way. Anything that's out of alignment, it's like my stomach is the first thing, and my solar plexus is my only undefined center. So it's like the sponge for the outside world stuff. So I love how focused and in tune you are with energy, because for me, energetic cleansing and energetic hygiene has been like a game changer for me in getting rid of the stuff I take on, and also just being able to make that space to feel into the body. And one thing I'll note too, just to put it out there, because I didn't really realize this before either when I started feeling into my own energy, is that it doesn't, when you're listening to the body, it's not always going to come in words, because the body is so often, it's going to be feelings, sensations, maybe memories or images, and maybe words too. But I think sometimes when we are just transitioning out of the mind, we think that the body's going to talk like the mind does, and it doesn't always do that. So just staying open to what that could look like.
And that's the key right there, is staying open. Because I agree with you. It rarely comes in through words. For the most part, it comes in and, oh, my shoulder's aching. Oh, I slept wrong on my neck last night. It must have been my pillow. Oh, I was lifting that brick and I pulled and slipped a disc. Any excuse of the body is using that brick and that opportunity for that movement to show you in the back exactly what's going on in the psyche, because our mind-body connection is not separate. And a lot of times we have pretty much viewed ourselves as separate. And I can really vouch to this, because through my design, I'm actually disconnected. Woohoo! I'm disconnected from up here versus down here, which is why it's so important for me to always have this connection to something higher and the connection to earth. But yet, where we are disconnected is actually our greatest gifts. And so because I have that disconnection, I can get so caught up in the head, and I can get so caught up in like other parts of my body, like that action energy that just wants to do and burn itself out. But the body will usually start to speak to us in pain, in tension, in tightness. And I'll say this, anything that makes you want to reach for your quickest addiction. because that quickest addiction is to soothe the discomfort of the body. So if there's dis-ease, discomfort, we're out of alignment. And as a soul alignment mentor, I bring the soul and help you to align that your individual unique soul, which is trying to communicate through using the body as the messenger with the body and bring them together. And once you find that connection, then you have that sweet, juicy, aligned energy that flows up and down with no blocks or no traps or no stagnation. But can we sustain that? And this is why our beautiful daily practices of self-care help us to keep coming back to that center. Because if we just feel our body one time, even for 30 seconds, we have a landing point. I felt it. For the first time, I started to feel that there was a sensation here. I softened into it. I trusted it. And then I got this message or this memory or this thought. And my heart felt warm. So I trusted the thought. And now I'm like integrating these energies.
Mm.
I just love listening to you talk. It's so beautiful. Your transmissions are insane.
Thank you. Well,
Insane in a
I'm
good
open
way.
in my throat. So Alyssa, you have to pull it out of me. None of this is mine. This is just channels. When you ask the question, I respond. And this is another beautiful thing about the human design is when we know this and it's like, whoa, right? We know like what parts of us open up when we're around others, when we're sharing space with other individuals. And when we start to learn other individuals on an energetic plane, then it's like, oh, we're doing this electromagnetic dance, literally electrically connecting to kind of feel that, oh, you complete me feeling. We can't do it alone. And this is why I loved the gatherings and why I love events and why I do a lot of my own inner work, because I'm designed to. I have to. I'm driven for that. In human design, I'm a 4/6, which means that what I learn for myself is what I share. I can't share anything if I don't dive deep and learn it first. So all the pain comes in, all the suffering, the fear, all of that comes in for me. I didn't have this the easiest journey, but because of that, I now get to transform and then share what I learned. So it has to be integrated. I have to participate in these practices and then I get to share them.
Renee, are you a 4/6 too?
I'm pretty sure. Now I need to look.
That's funny. Just sacral generator 4/6, and I've attracted 2 of you.
Hey, we must be good balances for each other. Yeah, I gotta look.
Alyssa, you're a 4/6 too?
I'm a 6/2 emotional manifesting generator.
Yeah, so beautiful. And I love that. I love because you get to give us the permission to take that time alone and to be like, oh yeah, come into my own space. This is where I get my strengths. But I love when I'm around those who carry that too, that allows and gives us permission of it's good, appropriate for you to clear everyone and everything out of your energy field so you can feel yourself. So you can truly take in that breath and you can truly nourish your own self. Then you're welling up that energy to nourish it to others.
Did you check?
I couldn't find it. I didn't want to distract us.
I feel like that's what you said you were.
I'm pretty sure though.
Yeah.
I remember because the 6 is the different phase, the 3 different phases, right? And I remember reading that and being like, I have to wait till I'm 50 to get to mastery. Dang it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in
And the
learning for
truth
a long
is
time.
Yeah. And that's not it. But what it means is that at that point, you'll have more availability for you to kind of step out and you'll start to embody it more, but you're already doing it. Your mastery comes and your mastery unfolds. It's a constant unfolding. And even when you're 50, it's going to continue to unfold.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of throwing out a number, right? We live in this space where we have to have the linear time.
Yeah.
But that's not really real.
Yeah. It did feel very aligned though, because I am I love learning. I'm definitely a devoted lifelong learner. So yeah.
All of us have the six, so we all know this. We're all like, yes, it's so cool. And this is another thing about that electromagnetic connection is every event that we hold or we put out or we create, or even the podcast, you guys are magnetizing who's ready for this information. Every event I hold, I'm magnetizing who's ready for that moment. And that's what channels through me is it's speaking to the group. It's speaking to who shows up. And when we are working in this way, it's like these electromagnetic connections that we hold and share, we begin to like activate everyone else, even if they've never done breath work before. They just sit next to us and they're like, hey, do I feel this rhythm move through me and I want to breathe? Or we take a sigh and someone else is like, oh yeah. Oh, that sigh was, oh, that's way deeper than what I've ever done before. And we start to activate each other. And it's so cool that we share this world in this way where we truly are opening, awakening, and igniting each other through our unique signatures, but really because we're all entangled in this energetic dance.
I love talking about energy so much. Let's like double click into the interconnectedness and how I know this is something that I struggle with at times is like the conscious knowing of that interconnectedness, but then oftentimes I have trouble actually feeling that and still feeling very separate from the greater population. And yeah, how have you maybe had good experience tapping into that?
So my greatest sense, we all have a sense that's a little stronger and heightened than any other. My greatest sense is feeling. So, and I'm also open in my G center, which is the center of identity, the center of direction, the center of love, and the center, of course, like where we know in our heart space is connecting us to soul. So for my experience, and I love to talk about this in the sense of the experience I had, because I know when I listen to a lot of spiritual teachers and they're like, this is the journey, and we all expect to have that same journey when we awaken, and it's not going to look the same. So for me, because I have this open heart, it allows me to feel beyond myself really easily because I kind of take on identities of others. I take on identities of trees, identities of animals, identities of the cosmos. So it was really easy for me to kind of mesh into beyond me. Now, not everyone needs to have this journey, and they're not also going to in this lifetime. So some people, they can experience this by just, they find themselves into like sci-fi or whimsical books, or even plant medicine journeys can help our consciousness a lot. But for me, because my greatest sense is feeling, I can feel beyond myself to a point where I usually lose myself in many things. And it was actually harder to find my own like personal, like, well, what am I? My question has constantly been like, who am I? What am I? And then I realized later on in my, I call it maturity, but it's also just explorations, that I don't really need any fixed identity. And for many people who know me, they will say like, you're a shapeshifter, because I do mold into different things very easily. So it's easy for me to feel the bigger expanded part of me. And then because of that, I'm also defined in my head and in my ajna. So I'm constantly connected to something higher than me. I get signs, I get constant visions, and I can really tap into like different dimensions, and it just makes sense consciously. And because of that conscious awareness, it's allowed me to not have any borders in my mind. So I do not like anything that is fixed. Anything that says this is a should, a would, a must, this is how it is, doesn't work for me, which is why the elements I love, because the elements ebb and flow. Breath goes into everything. Water, it carves whatever it wants. Fire, I'll burn through anything. I'm very fiery in my energy. Earth, it's molds, it shifts, it's constantly in some kind of movement. So to me, it's like, this makes more sense than like the finite conditioned patterns of rigidness. And then through ritual, I have to say that when I take time in stillness, this is the only time when I can truly dissolve everything and realize like, oh my gosh, I am moving beyond just this moment. It's the ritual. And when I say ritual, I'm like sitting down, doing breath work, sitting around the elements, allowing myself to dissolve my thoughts so that they can expand their borders into other types of thinking. So I don't like anything that's like, this is how we need to think. This is what psychology says. Great. I take a piece of that and a piece of this and a piece of this, and I find they all come together. But there's not just one system that works best. So it's allowing the openness, the silence, has to have stillness because, and when I say stillness too, I also mean sometimes like closing the eyes so that you're moving inside, but like taking away the stimulus. So the silence, stillness, and like those moments of pause. That's when we finally open up the space for something more to come through. And if you desire it, if you have that intention, like we talked about at the beginning, it will come through for anyone who's looking at this. If we're wanting to feel this interconnectedness, it takes that stillness. And sometimes it takes getting out of the head. Because if we want to think about it, I want to process, how does this work? We don't know the hows. In fact, the one thing I loved about human design is it taught me that every time you have a question, it's just going to open up a new question to a new question to a new question to a new question. You're not going to get any answers. Because if we had answers, we would be rigid. And we're not. We're here in an overly evolving, expanding multiverse. And we are appearing in this present moment. And from this present moment, due to how we access the present moment, which is what I love, breath has to bring us into it. Stillness has to bring us into it. When we access the present moment, now we just accessed the portal to every dimension. You can't get it in the future and you can't get it in the past. It's only right here. So pausing, taking that moment of ritual and sacredness, whatever that looks like to you. Each person has to define it by their design. That's when everything opens. And this is when I learned to trust myself over anything else. Any book I read, I mean, I don't even read a book without like, how much of my truth is this? If this doesn't resonate, and I know like with kinesiology, muscle testing, we have the ability to really decipher what's for us and what's not. And this is a practice that can be taught. So when I'm getting new information, if it's not at 90% or more, I don't even bother with it. Even if there's 87% truth in there, I don't need it because there's enough I don't want. I'm done with anything that's not holding at least 90. And lately it's been like 95. Like, I just want only if I'm going to put more information in here, I'm already overloaded with this world of information. I just only want what's 95 to 100% of my truths. And I say my truths because wherever we are on our expanded conscious journey, where we are in our embodiment, how much do we trust this vessel? If we're still not trusting this vessel, it's going to be really hard to find our personal truths because our mind can be programmed and can be a construct, and it's full of belief systems that are limiting. Our body knows truth, but we have to be able to be in our body, which takes practice and unraveling of the old stories that are not us, but for a while we believed they were. And so we have to learn how to embody a whole new present moment.
That resonates so deep.
Yeah.
I feel like you just captured so beautifully the power of being present. And that's something that just kind of gets thrown around a lot as gimmicky almost, with like, let's be present, be in the present moment. I want to be more present. And it just doesn't do it justice on what's actually available in the present moment sometimes.
Yeah. And that's where I love nature, because when you can sit out in the wilderness and all you're feeling is the bombardment of your senses, but it's all at a rhythm, right? It's all has this specific rhythm, this resonance, this frequency, and it regulates your own nervous system. And as you're sitting there, it's like there's nothing else but presence. And I love to, I love to be in nature alone. Or I kind of ask those who are with me, like, let's take a moment of stillness, of pause. And this is when I became an herbalist, it was because my kids slowed me down to a point where I was like, there's so much going on here. I need to stop and pause and just like feel this moment. Like, look at this anthill, and look at these weeds, look at all like stuff in the soil. Like, it's just so much life. And yet it's all moving at this very beautiful rhythmic dance. And even when we pause and we take in the senses of nature, it regulates our system. But then what happens? The parts of us that are not our true self, that are been conditioned, that have been programmed, that have like given us these false belief systems, they have to leave because they're on a faster pace trying to like overstimulate, over distract our nervous system. And so all of a sudden we're like, whoa, the present moment. Like, I pause. There's actually no such thing as stillness. It's just now the information that you're gathering is true, resonant, aligned information. And so this is the best when we can find those moments of pause, ride the breath, even if it's an active breath, even if it's a mellow breath, however we're choosing to ride that moment, depending what we want to feel. Do we need to stimulate our parasympathetic? Sometimes we need to stimulate our sympathetic. Sometimes we need that go energy, like a little bit of stress here and there is important. We have to have it. We have to exercise it. So being able to like play with that, but we always know our center because what? It mimics nature. And what is nature? Well, you don't know until you're still in nature to feel how your own nature works. So pausing and stillness allows you to actually tap in to the subtleties.
Yes. You keep mentioning breath work, sprinkled in through all these different practices and rituals and bringing you to the present moment, which is perfect segue to talk about our event coming up, which is transcendental breathwork. What is your take on this style of breathwork?
So I love many styles. And the one thing that I love about the transcendental breathwork is that it's a little, it's much more active. It lasts a lot longer. It's usually for a duration of about 30 minutes, but we're going to take it all the way to an hour. And I love that you can do it in a group and you can do it with a bunch of different people. And what it does is it allows us to truly transcend all of these energies that are waiting to move through us. And yes, we can move through some calming breath work to allow ourselves to feel and to connect. But there's a time in our life, and you'll know because if you're listening to this, you're being pulled to it, right? That's how our authority speaks to us, no matter how. It's like it pulls us to it. Like, I kind of like this. I'm curious. I want more, this information. And when we are going to a place in our life where it's like, I'm now ready for that shift. I've acknowledged my wounds, my traumas. I'm starting to trust my body a little more to know that my body is a safe place to be in. And it actually is much more powerful than I've really ever realized. Now I want to really move some energy out so I can take that next step of life, take that next present moment into a new alignment. And transcendental breathwork, due to its music, and we're going to be practicing this outside under the sacred trees of Billings, supported on the earth with facilitators like Alyssa and me that are here to hold space for you. We can really allow a little bit of that latent stress that's been stuck in our nervous system to activate it so that it actually moves through the body. So this can release in one session. Now, this is not going to be everyone's experience. It was for me, which is why I love it. In one experience, you can move massive amounts of old stuck energies, belief systems. And I do a lot of emotional release in my one-on-one energy medicine with people. It takes like hours to move through a bunch of little emotions, and then you have to have a couple other sessions in one transcendental session because you're the one doing the work for yourself. You don't have to attach to any story. You don't have to go back and talk about it and relive it and any of that. It's already in your tissues. You don't have to relive it. You just get to move it like a ripple through your system and out. And then there's this beautiful integration period where, as you're laying there, especially supported on earth, all of a sudden there's this moment. And this is kind of when, for me, I noticed like that interconnectedness of our consciousness, this moment of really seeing what you truly are beyond just human, where we can expand our consciousness, what's been stuck in our body and our mind that's been trapping us from actually tapping into this. And then as it starts to settle in your body, it gives you the space, because now with that energy out, because we're always whole at one given point, we have to clear energy out. You have to declutter, remove the furniture in your room in order to put new furniture in. You have to remove energy to bring new, fresh energy in. So this gives you that space to like, all of a sudden, these insights, these epiphanies, this awakening in your consciousness, all of these things start to come online. And I say come online because they become more active within your mind space. Your body has more space to take on different types of actions, so it doesn't get so burned out. It doesn't hold on to so much of that depressed energy that really like depresses us into stagnation and that those times where we just feel like we can't move. It actually reactivates the body. The nervous system starts to awaken in this different way, and it feels safe to be able to move so much of this stuff through. So we're going to complete it with a sound bath to allow it in the integration stage to even like be supported by sound and the healing energies of frequency. And this whole thing is going to be moving through us with the sacred medicine of cacao, just raw chocolate. It's a superfood. And it moves through us because what it actually does is it opens and awakens in our blood so that we can move energy much easier. But it also gives us this feeling of, it's a reason why chocolate is connected to love, a feeling of sensuality and a feeling of safeness and a feeling of love. And it allows us to kind of move that through us gently. This is not neurotropic, so it doesn't do anything to our mind. Our breath is going to do that. But it kind of allows the body to feel safe so the body can remove what it's ready to remove. And we're doing it on the new moon. So a new moon is all about new active energy, all about sparking new things. So to be able to really transition and transform in one great 2-hour session, and I say 2 hours, we won't be breathing that whole time, but the cacao and the sound bath and all of that. But in one session, I mean, this is such a gift to your own journey, your own self-care, and nobody can give it to you. You have to choose it, show up, and be ready for it. And you'll know if you're ready for it, if you're listening to this and it creates excitement. And if it creates a little bit of anxiety, you might be ready too, because anything that creates anxiety tends to stimulate our nervous system and show us that there is some energy that's ready to be moved through you, that anxious energy, so that you can feel more soothed.
Yes.
I wish I lived closer so I could come.
Where are you, Renee?
I'm in Southern Oregon.
Oh yeah, Southern Oregon. Yeah, I do love Southern Oregon.
I do too. It's pretty beautiful.
We're hoping to turn these into monthly events though, so maybe you'll come out at some point and get to experience it.
Yes. Yes, I would love that.
Oh, here it is. You said that you have to be open to do this work, and really the body will only show you what you're ready to see. So like your level of openness will guide you through this work at the level that you're ready.
Absolutely. And I mean, because it's a longer breathwork session, our bodies will be able to tell us for sure. They'll guide us, even if it's like doing the active breath and it's like, I'm feeling like everything's too much, then we know, okay, well, we just slow down. So even in the moment, if you're not ready to move as much, like there's always this beautiful threshold where you get to feel and decide what's available to you in that moment. Because this is quite physical. This is a very, very physical experience. I mean, your body will tingle, your body could sweat, your body could get really heated and then really cold. There could be some cramping. The body's going to want to move. It's going to want to get some of that movement through. And it's going to, no matter, even if you're breathing in a very calm, soothing way, it's going to remove emotions. It's just this experience that we move through. And while some of it might be a little bit uncomfortable, in order for us to truly grow and expand, there's discomfort. It's messy. You can't have a beautiful artwork without creating a mess. You can't give birth without making a mess. Some of the most beautiful things are a little uncomfortable. And when we allow ourselves to be okay with some discomfort, this is when we can find ourselves truly transcending into other places that we're ready to step into. And if you're even listening to this and it's having to do with wholesome healing, you're ready to step into some of this deeper work. And this is the time. It really is. We are at a place on Earth where we have the energies from the cosmos, from the planets, from within, from the earth that are supporting those who are committing to transforming, to release limited belief systems, to open up their expansive consciousness, and to kind of allow ourselves to play with this mind-body connection, to feel more empowered, to create from that empowered state.
Yes.
I'm just going to say at the end of every one of these sessions, be it long or short, no matter the discomforts that are in between, you are guaranteed to leave with more elation, more empathy, more love, more compassion, more understanding, more joy, and more connection.
Amazing.
We're like in awe, I think. I'm in awe.
Have you experienced one of these long breathwork sessions, be it holotropic or transcendental, or even there's like, I have some of, they all have their different names, but they're these longer breathwork sessions, Alyssa?
Yeah. So in training, we both took Pause breathwork together, as well as Pause somatic coaching together. And the founder of Pause took holotropic and rebirthing trainings and then created her own method with a trauma-informed lens. And so some of the breathworks that she's taken us through that were an hour long were much more energizing and activating than like what I personally take people through. But it was cool to experience that energy and that release, and I'm excited to guide people through this journey.
And I don't recommend that. This is not one that I do every day. This is not one that I even do every week. This is one that I do tend to do a longer one during like a new moon and a full moon, or especially in eclipse season, or if something is going on in my world where I'm like, oh, I just keep hitting this wall. I just keep feeling like I'm ready for something and I don't know how to clear it, but I'm not getting the clarity and my sacral is not really informing me where to go. I know something's stuck. And then I go here. Then I go to these longer sessions, which is why once a month is perfect, because then you can support yourself with all these gentle ways of breathing to really feel that somatic experience, that connection. But then every now and then you got to kind of burn that fire and burn through whatever's there and get it out of you and move it and transcend it or integrate it. If it's something you must learn from and you must give a new story, integrate it. We integrate what's ours and we clear out what is somebody else's conditioning or programs that don't belong to us. It's just been put on us so that it really is, in a way, oppresses us from our truest connection. So I agree that going through and having those more gentle ones. Every single day I'm doing this beautiful, gentle, supportive, nourishing, just like suck in that air and just allow myself to be. But once a month, this is what I need, especially in these times.
Yeah. Like a deep house cleaning.
Exactly. Yeah. So this kind of, in Montana, it was like we're barely coming into spring. So it's like, this is truly spring cleaning.
Yes. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
So if you are local and you are able to attend this, it will be outside. So do bring some warm clothes. Do come with maybe some extra blankets or something. I do think it's going to be beautiful weather no matter what, because we'll be most likely playing with the winds, with the sun. Yeah, if you're feeling called or open to this, I do recommend like giving it a shot, giving it a try to see what comes up, what you notice, and what you're able to explore. As those 4 6s, those 6s with me, I have to experiment anything. So I love any kind of experimentation. If it's something new, I jump in all the way. But I know it can be intimidating. If it's like, I've never tried this, this is intimidating. I don't want to go with a big group of people and I'm there crying while everyone's breathing, which can happen. Emotions can arise. But if there is a space where you feel safe, I do recommend for anyone, no matter what, to just see what breath has to offer. Well, breath has to offer a lot, but breath work.
I'll put the link in the description to buy your tickets or register on mandalamama.com. It'd be ideal if you register beforehand. We can send you preparation email, and you kind of know what you need to arrive with and what to expect. Yeah. Beautiful. And how can people get in touch with you? You're on Facebook and Instagram?
Yes, I'm not the best on Facebook, but mostly Instagram. I will get to Facebook eventually. But Instagram is mandala.mama. And then you can email me, mandalamamafamily@gmail.com. Those are probably the best ways to get in contact, or you can go to my website, mandala-mama.com, and there's a bunch of information. I have a few blog posts there of just the things that I offer and a description of what those are and how you can further research those. If there's any events that I do, I post them there as well, stuff like that.
So cool.
Amazing.
Yes, beautiful. Well, it was so great to have you on today. And I hope that our audience has a beautiful rest of the day. Thank you so much for watching.
It was great,
guys.
thank you.
You too.